Hi everybody, Chris Garnett here from Alliance Manchester Business School. I'm the Postgraduate Career Service. So I've got Isabelle with me, who's one of our alumni from the full-time MBA program, and we're going to talk a little bit about her career journey. So, Isabelle.
Sure. So thanks for the introduction. My name is Isabelle. I am from Switzerland originally. I did my MBA full-time 2020 to 2022. Prior to the MBA, I had about 15 years of experience in the hospitality industry. Roles ranged from F&B operations to general management in five-star properties predominantly. Then moved into sort of advisory strategy, M&A for a portfolio of hotels across Europe, which is where I started to sort of play with the idea of doing an MBA. Because there was a lot of senior stakeholder exposure, a lot of obviously presenting strategic initiatives, a lot of financial concepts, obviously, and I was sort of realizing I'm probably lacking some more in-depth skills around that. Yeah.
So you were thinking about the MBA in terms of filling certain gaps in terms of your knowledge and experience.
Yes.
And you did the MBA, so you started in 2020.
20, yeah.
Which was interesting time to start an MBA. How was your MBA journey?
So it was definitely mixed feelings, I think, when I look back at it, because there was clearly a lot of restrictions around what we were able to do, in terms of just simply being with the cohort altogether. There was a lot of online teaching. I think the school did what they could to give us some sort of hybrid experience, which I think was also, to be fair and in hindsight, a learning experience for the business school. It was something that they ever experienced before. So I think we should have given them a bit more grace. But I think it was overall a good experience. And, because during the pandemic, as you may remember, things relaxed and then they tightened again, etc. So it was this constant sort of contracting. We did have opportunities to travel. I didn't do the MBAT, but some of our students went. I did the study tour. I went to Dubai. So, and then also my biggest worry, it was that we can't travel at all for any of the consultancy projects, but we ended up actually traveling quite well with the project that we had. So we went to the US, went to Dubai, went to Barcelona. So we did have that, and ultimately we made friends and stay in touch. So and from the academic side, we still I think I certainly got what I needed from that.
I mean, it was a challenging time for everybody, wasn't it? And I think kind of you don't do a full-time MBA with that kind of thing in mind, right? You might, even if you did our global MBA, it's still blended learning. You're still coming on campus. You're still building those relationships, and it's much more difficult without. And I think we all kind of understood and recognised that. It was a tough time for everybody. I kind of my memories are from the cohort point of view really positive. I think everybody did come together, and it was tough and it was difficult, but people did come together. And some great relationships, I think, within the cohort.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, and what about post MBA?
I said to you the sort of first motivations I had to do an MBA, but actually I took a long time to then start the MBA. So the closer I got to actually doing it, I realized this is a very good chance to pivot industries, right? To get out of hospitality and do something else. And that is what I did. So I did during my MBA, I did an internship with Janssen Pharmaceuticals. So I did a strategy role within pharmaceutical. And then I joined a startup post MBA in a strategy role. Which is something, again, completely different in a completely different industry. It was so it's a company that specializes on direct lithium extraction. So it's basically sort of a combination of mining, mineral mining, and chemical engineering. So again, something I had no prior knowledge in. But I did this for 2 years. Helped them with their fundraising of Series A. general sort of development of the startup, getting the contracts in with the government, with the governmental bodies, a lot of grant writing and traveling again with them to sort of, I guess, promote the technology and etc. So that was really interesting. And would I be younger? Childless, I would still be with them, but I do have a child that comes with its own unique worries and anxieties, so I need to make money and I cannot really not do it. So I was a bit like, I kind of like something a bit more secure, something with a proper package, and then I was looking for that during my time at Wood Cycles, and then was approached by HSBC recruitment. And I was a bit surprised at first because, well, I didn't expect the bank to get in touch with me out of the blue. But it then turned out it wasn't the business side, so not the traders or the sort of the actual banking side in traditional sense. It was the technology organization, and they were recruiting for a strategy lead. And they were particularly interested in my profile because I had such a vast, strategy experience across different industries. And then also my exposure to sustainability, which is something I still do today in my role. I'm leading the sort of net zero initiatives within my particular side of the business.
And it just demonstrates as well, because I mean, a lot of MBAs get kind of particularly obsessed or certainly interested in the front office, in the markets, in investment banking, etc. But banks are huge with a really diverse range of opportunities and really interesting opportunities as well. Yeah,
absolutely.
So what's next in the future?
So it's a big question. I think I did say that earlier, given the state of the world, I genuinely mean that. I think I'm going to stay put. I'm going to sharpen my skills in the role that I'm doing right now. I've been with the bank now 18 months, so I'm coming to the end of sort of, I guess, the natural corporate cycle where you would move into a different role. The beauty of the size of the bank is that there is so much opportunity within the bank. Average tenure of UK employees is 15 years at the bank. So I genuinely work with people that have been there all of their careers, and they tell me, I've done loads of different things, and it always feels like you're in a new organization. So I'm quite excited about that, and I am sort of actively working on next career steps. But because the bank has undergone or is still undergoing quite a significant restructuring, I'm going to wait until it settles to make the move, I think. But the areas I'm sort of looking at is cybersecurity, fraud, sort of that side in particular around emerging risks with Gen AI. And the other side I'd like to explore, if that wasn't going to work out anytime soon, will be more into this sustainability, net zero side of the bank's operations itself, and maybe more the regulatory side.
And again, it shows that breadth and depth within the bank. But it also, I think, in terms of, and obviously I've known you for a few years now, and in terms of the platform that you've given yourself post MBA, feels like you can really tell a story now, and you can really tell a story to other opportunities.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Well, I hope you'll stay in touch. I'm sure you will. So we'll maybe catch up again this time next year. We can do a follow up and see where you're up to then.
Good stuff. Thanks for having me. Bye. See you soon.